Hello and welcome to the Youth Show. Today it's future me hosting the show tonight. My name is Beth Lewis and I am a future me youth representative. I'm 17 and I'm really looking forward to being here tonight. I am joined by my colleagues Martha and Freya.
Hi.
Hi.
Guys, tell me a little bit about yourselves. Tell me a bit.
Oh, Beth, you already know me, but I'll indulge you. I've been here once before on the first show, but it's really good to be here with you guys. I live in Cheltenham. I'm really into art, theatre, going outside for walks. I could tell you a lot more, but Freya, how about you?
Hi, I'm Freya. I'm 16 years old. I am also a youth rep at Future Me, and I'm really excited to be here.
So last week on the Young People show, we had a lovely little chat about mental health and why it is important to keep talking about mental health. This week, our show will be more orientated around hobbies, community and citizenship, including extracurricular activities. By doing extracurricular activities, you can not only boost your CV, but you can really find yourself and find a belonging through your hobbies and interests, and we think it's really important to have that conversation. Hobbies and interests is a really broad topic, which obviously we're going to hopefully go into a little bit more over the hour. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to
it's going to be good
to having this chat tonight. So, as said earlier, we are having a chat about our personal hobbies. I said earlier that hobbies and extracurriculars were a really important part of my life, but I'd like to talk a little bit to my fellow studio people. So, Freya, why are hobbies so important to you, and what hobbies do you have?
Well, my two main hobbies are dance and archery. I do these because it's a safe place for me to sort of escape. It's very precise and I'm able to just focus on that, and that is that. So yeah, that's why I do the hobbies I do and why I love them so much.
Nice. And Martha, what about you? Why are your hobbies so interesting?
Well, you asked me what my hobbies are, and it's difficult to answer because, and I wonder if other people think this, that sometimes your interests don't necessarily feel like hobbies because they might not be a kind of set thing that you do every week or whatever. So I don't really go to like any clubs or anything like that, but I do have a lot of interests. I'm a really big reader. I'm an artist as well. I love like reading about sort of history, theatre. I'm really interested in the natural world as well. So hobbies is a difficult word because I don't always have a term for things that interest me, but increasingly I am enjoying doing things that get me out meeting other people through my interests, whether that's by doing kind of creative projects with other people or kind of getting to know other people through going on like walks together. So that's really vague, but that's kind of what my interests and hobbies are.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's the idea that hobbies are a really big part to me because they make up a massive part of who I am. It's become more apparent since like going to college and stuff. Like the friends that I've made are because of the things that I'm interested in. Like for example, I'm interested in theatre, and that's been like a really big part of like which friends I've made and like who I've become so close with. So theatre is something that I kind of want to go into as a job. You mentioned art as you being an artist. You've actually got an art degree, don't you, Martha?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I mean, I'd massively encourage anyone who's creative to kind of explore their creativity, and you don't necessarily have to be artistic or musical to be a creative person. I've always loved creating things, using my hands to make things. I did do an art course at uni, but since that I've done various projects where I've applied for like small pots of funding to do things within the community. So I've done like photography projects in Gloucester. I've put on exhibitions in lots of various places like Cheltenham and further afield in kind of neighbouring counties. But yeah, it's definitely one of my hobbies. Like I'd love to be able to make like loads of money on it, but at the moment that's not really achievable. But that doesn't put me off. And I think following your interests and passions is so important.
Yeah, like I was always told with theatre and stuff, it's been a big part of my life since I was little. And I was always told, you're never going to make any money in the industry. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And it's only now that I'm starting to realise it is a possibility. I'm wanting to go on further and take a performing arts course. And I always rejected the idea of taking that further because I was like, oh no, I won't make any money out of it. But I'm soon starting, as I'm growing up, I'm soon starting to realise like that's not important. I just need to enjoy what I'm doing. Yeah. So I think hobbies is a really important like part of like finding what you're interested in. Freya, your hobbies, do you think you could ever take them on further as a career, or?
I mean, dance. I went to school of arts, basically dance, singing and drama for quite a few years. I think it was about 5 years. And it's always been something that I'm really passionate about. But then I also found my love for medicine and healthcare, and that's what I'm pursuing now. So yeah, I would have really liked to do dance as something to go on a lot further with, but I'm really enjoying looking at medical things. And yeah,
I think hobbies can sometimes feel like a word that parents to shout to their children, like, oh, you should get some hobbies, but actually nurturing good hobbies while you're young sets you up much better later in life, I would think, because say you did go into medicine, like an amazing career path, probably full of challenges and stresses, and having some really good hobbies where you can be mindful, you can relax, you can kind of unwind. I think that's really important. So the partnership of the two is actually great.
Yeah. I think hobbies is always really important to maintain, because they're just that, linking back to our mental health show, they're just that thing that can help you just escape for just a couple of seconds. So next we're going to have a little chat about volunteering. Martha mentioned doing some community projects, and it reminded me that volunteering can be a hobby and a really big part of communities. I volunteer with scouting, and I would class that as one of my hobbies. Like, it's a really big part of my life, helping young people and being there. It's always been a really big part of my life, and helped me really build myself. And it's definitely been something that it's a foundation that's built on volunteers, but it's also a hobby. So I think it's really interesting to talk about these kind of things. Freya, you have some experience with volunteer work.
Yeah.
Would you like to have a little talk about that?
So I volunteer with a local charity near me. They work with people with disabilities or difficulties. They basically help teach them, learn basic skills, and that's really important to me because I like to see people succeed. And yeah, so that's my main hobby, I'd say.
That's really interesting. Like, I think volunteering is so important to be encouraging young people to do, because it not only looks really good on CVs for university applications, but through volunteering with young people, I've really found a part of myself. I've really found a confidence that I never thought I'd have. Like, just I can't describe it. It's growth in a way that is just so different to all of the other ways I've grown as a person. It's allowed me to really develop my skills, especially with communication, actually. And yeah, it's a really important part of my life. Martha, do you have any volunteering experiences?
I did do some volunteering, a while ago. I volunteered with the Gloucestershire Riding for the Disabled Association when I was a lot younger.
Really?
I've also volunteered in kind of heritage settings. So this was when I was at uni, and I was quite interested in kind of I was doing a project about kind of old buildings and things. That sounds really niche. But I did some volunteering kind of with historic properties, kind of stewarding and things. But it's the interpersonal skills you learn doing it, I think, and those transferable skills. And actually, maybe you might not be old enough to get a job, or you may not have one, and you might only know kind of school and home. And volunteering is a really good way to kind of reach out to a wider world. And become kind of more aware of your place in the world.
Volunteering is a way for you to be able to find yourself as well as helping other people find themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree completely. That was a really interesting conversation, guys. Thank you very, very much for having that chat with me. So that was a lovely song by Becky Hill. I actually saw her at Boardmasters. This is a slight side note, and she was very good. I will be honest. Such a stage presence. I mean, it's not a side note really. Music is one of my hobbies.
Yeah,
it's one of my hobbies. Everything is on topic. Everything is on topic. Although getting more on topic. So hobbies can boost your CV, and they improve your general outlook on life, as we've gone into a little bit of detail on. See, there are these slightly more mainstream kind of extracurriculars, I want to call them. Things such as like D&V and NCS and EPQ, which is Extended Project Qualification, I think. Freya, I know that you've done D&V. Do you want to have a little chat about that?
Yeah, so D&V, there's 3 stages. There's bronze, silver and gold. I've done bronze and silver. Basically, it's this big volunteering skills and like building your personal like self, physical exercise. It's just basically a way to push yourself, build your confidence, and show people that you are actually determined. So it's definitely something, if you have the opportunity, to get involved with. It was one of the best things I ever decided to do. So yeah, that's basically D&V.
That sounds really cool. It reminds me a lot of. So I mentioned Scouts earlier. D&V reminds me a lot of my experience that I've been offered in scouting, and it was the World Scout Jamboree. Now this is like a massive event that happens like every 4 years, and this one was in West Virginia in America.
Oh wow.
And it was absolutely fantastic. There was 40,000 scouts, all young people, chucked on a site in West Virginia, and you can imagine the chaos that occurred. But oh my goodness, the sense of community, the support, the amazing time that I had those 3 weeks. I can't even just like describe it to you. It was something that was just completely and utterly life-changing. Like everyone that I saw after that event were like, you're a different person, you're glowing. And it's because of that. It's a space that allowed me to be very open with who I am. And it was just like everyone was there for the exact same reason. And that was that we were all part of this scouting family. Yeah. And that we were all part of this one movement, and we were all there to have fun together and have this experience together. And I think my favourite memory of that is just waking up to some guys from Trinidad playing some traditional music and asking us to come and join, and they taught me how to play the drums. And it was so much fun. And it's memories like that I will never forget, thanks to my hobbies.
Yeah, it's refreshing.
It's really refreshing. Yeah.
How old do you have to be to Scouts? Is that what's the age range again?
Scouts.
And it is boys and girls, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mixed. So Scouts is 10 till 14, and then Explorer Scouts, which is the one movement I'm in at the moment, is 14 to 18, and then you have a progression kind of group called Network, which is 18 to 25, and that's kind of very much like become a leader, kind of get these amazing Explorer Scouts that have been through so much and get them to volunteer as such. And it's a fantastic movement, and it's something that I would really encourage other people to look into going into, because the support that you will get from it and just the fun you'll have and the opportunities available are amazing. But yeah, gone slightly off topic. I'll go back to things like EPQ. EPQ is Extended Project Qualification, and it's a qualification that you do alongside your A-levels, and it can be pretty much based on anything. A lot of people do it on creative things such as music or design work or art. Others do it about writing about their favourite history, write book reports. It can be very, very broad, but if you are interested in doing that alongside your A-levels, talk to your college or sixth form, and I'm sure they will be running that. It's a fantastic opportunity. These programs can like boost these valuable skills needed on your CV, and things such as NCS, so that's National Citizenship Service. I think it's a 3-week course where you do a range of things with a completely new group of people, and it looks really good on CVs. In terms of citizenship, one of our lovely guests, Martha, had an interview with a lady called Jane Haynes. Martha, would you like to have a little?
Yeah, well, we're going to play the interview in a bit, aren't we, after a bit of music? But I'll just set it up really by saying that, Beth, you've spoken about sort of more formalised programmes that your school might encourage you to do, and you might do it kind of in your lunch breaks, or your school might help organise it. But I spoke to Jane, who's a teacher at Gloucestershire Secondary School, and she's the head of citizenship. So citizenship is actually a subject that your school does and should be including at school anyway. So it's all about how do you become a kind of aware citizen, and we are all citizens, aren't we? And as we grow up, you become more aware of that you're no longer defined by being the child of somebody, or being kind of defined by your teachers or older adults, and you're actually becoming an individual person. So how does that work, kind of interacting with the world around us and the systems in the world, in this country? So citizenship is about preparing you for that. So I won't say any more, I'll leave it to the interview we did, but over to you, Beth.
That sounds fantastic.
When you start thinking about how hobbies interact with the community, and how a community is underpinned by everybody being a good citizen, we thought it would be really good to learn a bit more about citizenship with a capital C, the subject that we all do at school, even if we don't realise we study it. So to that end, I caught up with Jane Haynes, who is the head of citizenship at Thomas Keeble Secondary School just near Stroud. We had a wonderful conversation, and here's a short clip from it.
It's so nice to be with you, Jane, and how are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you very much for inviting me along,
I thought we'd just start off by asking you what citizenship is, and just a bit more about it, really.
So citizenship was made a statutory national curriculum subject back in 2002, so quite a long time ago now. And when that occurred, it was part of an initiative to try and increase voter turnout numbers, because numbers had been in decline, and they just wanted to kind of make sure that the public were informed, and a branch of that was to try and ensure that our young people across the nation were interested. And indeed, numbers have begun to increase. So we'd like to think that citizenship teaching has been an element of that. It happens at both Key Stage 2, Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. So even at primary school, pupils are encouraged to, and I quote, develop understanding of their communities and society and have opportunities to be active citizens, which I think is really nice that we kind of start them young in this process. And then at secondary school, at Key Stage 3, all pupils will receive a grounding, I would say, in politics and the legal system and financial issues, both sort of personal finances like sort of taxation, but also beginning to understand the wider concepts of the economy for the nation, which is, very good training. Then GCSE citizenship, which I teach at my school as well, is an option that students can take. There's about just over 20,000 pupils gained this qualification this year, and the numbers have been steadily rising. And I was looking at the FFT website, which is available for anyone to look at, and it shows kind of that both girls and boys enjoy this subject equally, and that that the numbers, as I say, have been rising for both genders, which I think is very encouraging.
I realised my own ignorance, really, in not realising that it was a kind of statutory part of the curriculum. And I think that's probably because when I was at school, I wasn't aware of it being sort of a direct subject. So is it true to say that some schools would have it as a subject in its own right, and other schools, do they incorporate it in a slightly different way?
Yes, no, you're quite right, Martha. There's quite a lot of differences across the country as to how it is delivered. Obviously, if you're doing it as a distinct GCSE, then it's going to be clear and obvious on anyone's timetable that that's there. But certainly at sort of at the lower key stages, sort of 2 and 3, it would be part of other activities potentially. So at my school, we teach it as a distinct subject. As I say, as a taster for Key Stage 3, so they can choose if they want to do it as an option, so they would know that they were having a citizenship lesson. But we do it alongside the PSHE curriculum, which is the RSE curriculum as well. So some students may go to those lessons, be it called social studies or something like that, perhaps in some of their schools, and may not realise that it's a citizenship lesson rather than a personal social health kind of education lesson. So there might be that. So you probably did have some when you were young, but maybe it wasn't distinct in that fashion.
As such. No, that's really helpful. That's joined the dots for me a bit. Just moving on a little bit then, looking at the kind of nuts and bolts of the citizenship course, I think I'm right in saying that there's a sort of out-of-classroom element to the assessment of citizenship. Is it called citizen action?
Yes. So when we say out of classroom, it's not necessarily that the students are not in a lessons, because obviously they have to be in school. So they are in school, but it's outward looking. So if I give you just a little example, is that all right? Yes? Okay. So obviously even at Key Stage 3 we're trying to do this. So for instance, for my Year 7, we'll do a citizen action which is based on the environment. And obviously citizenship has a very much of a focus on like humanity and citizens, but you can't take out the environment, because obviously without a solid and environment that allows us to have a sustainable future, there won't be humanity. So the two are very, very closely linked, even though the environment isn't necessarily kind of written within the citizenship course. They are hand in glove, I would say. So we do a topic where we lead on from some rights work that we do in class about the fact that Eleanor Roosevelt, who said that when you want to make a change, you have to start at home. So we then look at researching what changes people could make in the home in order to support environmental development. And once they've done this kind of research, they then begin to think about, well, what will I campaign for? What can I say I'd like people to try and do? So example, it could be everybody to have a bug box, everybody to make hedgehog corridors, or to ensure that there's some water in their gardens for wildlife. Those sorts of like different things, or it could be energy saving. And then they have to think about, well, how are we going to change hearts and minds about that? What can we do? And then they think about different ways in which they can do this, both through kind of potentially writing to our MP, saying about the kind of things that are important to them, and then also perhaps trying to spread the word to other students in the school to encourage them to make that changes at home. So that kind of gives you an idea of one that, yes, is teacher-led, but it's just beginning to help the students understand the things that are at their fingertips, their sort of toolkit, to make those changes. And then that goes all the way through year 8. We do a community cafe where they've learnt all about dementia, and then the resources they make, they then share with all the visitors who come in, and they run that cafe, you know, from writing to local people, to like local supermarkets, to ask if they could have donations for things, tea, coffee, biscuits, flowers, you know, that kind of thing for the table. They then run the whole thing, so they will then invite people from the local communities, from different groups and things, and sit at the table and discuss their work with those people and have a cup of tea and a piece of cake, which is kind of scary for 12 and 13-year-olds to sit down at a table with a group of strangers who they've never met before and start a conversation. So that's really good skills for life as well there. And then in the GCSE, it's an essential part of the curriculum. They have to do something. So they work in small groups of 2 or more, normally kind of 4. And they've done all incredible things in the past. I've been running the course for many years now, and we've done things like prevent single-use plastics in school. We've had traffic calming measures put into the local village. We've ensured that all of our local parks now have disabled equipment, and that the access to those parks is wide enough for people to come through. We've looked at measures of combating loneliness. We've supported homeless charities and lobbied for political change. I mean, the list has been endless of the good works and the good things that young people have been passionate about, and have then learned how to kind of bring these things to actually come to fruition.
And isn't that inspiring? We can all go to those around us, whether that's in school or outside of it, because we can all instigate positive change at a small grassroots level and make a real positive difference when we think things should improve in different areas. But anyway, I wish I could play the whole interview that I did with Jane, but we haven't quite got time for that. So if that clip's got you more interested, then head to the Future Me YouTube channel, because we've uploaded the whole interview there. So yeah, check out Future Me Gloucestershire on YouTube to find the rest of this interview and lots more content.
Unfortunately, it's now the end of the show. Freya and Martha, thank you very, very much for joining me and talking to me today.
It's been really fun.
It's been lovely.
Yeah. So thank you to everyone at at Gloucester FM for having us. We have really, really enjoyed it. Thank you to anyone who is listening today. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.